we don't get the fights that we want in boxing. Is it because there's too many belts? What's going on here? Like, why is that the case? And do you think that attributes to the fact that UFC has become so popular now, right?
Well, I think the main reason is because promoters don't want to lose their bread and butter fighters. So, like I was saying earlier, Bob Arum doesn't want to lose Terrence Crawford because he can put Terrence Crawford on a main event on one of his cards and he'll sell, right? Because he's the champion at that weight class. But so is Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is with Prime Boxing Championship. It's a guy named Al Heyman.
Yeah.
And Al Heyman doesn't necessarily want to do the same thing, so they want to keep their bread and butter fighters that they can promote and make money off of. Maybe not as much money as if they fight each other at that particular time, but they'd rather make 5-10 million over 5 fights than make 15 million in one fight, but then lose their guy, their money guy. I think that's the main reason. And it doesn't have so much to do with the boxers. It mostly has to do with their management and their promoters.
Do you think there's too many belts?
There's way too many. There's way too many belts.
Yeah,
but
right.
Nowadays, the fights aren't really necessarily contested for the. They're contested for the belts. You got to pay the sanctioning fee, and it's for this belt or that belt. But it's more name recognition. It's more like Canelo Alvarez doesn't have to have a belt. People will go watch him fight, right? Neither does what's another good fighter, like a Tyson Fury doesn't need any belts, even though he's got all the, well, not all of them. What's his name? Anthony Joshua's got one of the belts too, but Tyson Fury, top heavyweight guy, like everyone's gonna want to see him because he's undefeated and no one's beating him, so he's the guy, he's the go-to guy.
I hear all the time, boxing's corrupt or the blah, 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 blah. Like, is there validity to that, or is that just kind of complainers that a talking point?
I've never seen a fixed match in terms of that, like being corrupt that way. I've never seen it. I know that apparently there was back in the day, like when Jake LaMotta was fighting and the mob was involved in New York. I heard back then stories that, the mobsters used to bet on the fights. So they bet big money, right? So they had to pay off certain guys to get what they wanted. But nowadays, I've never heard of a fight being fixed.
But how about in the sense of the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder first fight? It was so judges, right? Judges getting it wrong or kind of being too generous for the wrong guy.
I have heard of envelopes changing hands. Yeah, like certain envelopes changing hands to certain judges, like. Or vacations to here or there. I'll get your wife. You and your wife should go to Jamaica for a week, and but you remember who my guy is, right? So I've heard stuff like that going on, and it's unfortunate that it happens. But it happens in any sort of judgmental or any sort of sport that has judging in it, like diving or gymnastics or anything. There's always going to be people that like see it one way and someone sees it the other way, and there's going to be a lot of reasons why they might see it that way, and some of those reasons might be that they're being influenced by certain people, and so I'm sure that happens. But the great thing about boxing, there's the ultimate equalizer, and that's the KO. So you KO a guy, they can't rip you off.